Monkey is brought to you by Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects.
Hi and welcome to Quilt Monkey. In the next few shows we're going to be looking at building up your fabric stash and more specifically bundles of fabric. I like fabric lots. But in today's show we are going to be making this really simple 2 fat quarter pillow that will take you literally 10 minutes. It's a great project for a child to sew because it just involves straight lines and there's nothing complicated, there's not a lot of cutting. So it's a really good way to introduce one of your kids to the sewing machine and getting them confident on straight line stitching. This fabric is by an English company called Dashwood Studio, which is widely available in both the UK and Australia and not so available in the US, but you can get pretty much their full collection of fabrics from pinkcastlefabrics.com. And they're really nice. They're small collections of just 8 different prints in each line. This one is from Cuckoo's Calling and it's English. It's nice. It's like me, I'm English. But today we are going to be looking at cotton and steel, which if you haven't heard of cotton and steel before, it's a new modern division of RJR Fabrics. So we all know who RJR Fabrics are, and cotton and steel is their new baby, their new younger modern division. It was set up by 5 different designers, and the general idea behind the collections is that they all kind of mix together, and even though they're very, very different, the different lines have common colour themes and they use common blenders, and you can mix and match between the different collections to build up a really, really great set of modern fabrics that are bright but not gaudy. At the past few quilt markets, this stuff has been hot. It's like the cool kids, and you can kind of see why. So we're going to look at the different fabrics and the way that they put together their bundles. So we've got the full collection bundles, which are in bundles like this, but then they also do something called a remix, which are different prints from different collections that all kind of go together. So it's different designers' fabrics put together and you get like a ready-made stash. A lot of shops do this already. You can buy bundles that have either been curated by the shops themselves or have been put together by fabric designers or bloggers. They're quite popular, and you get maybe a set of 10 different fat quarters that have been put together that all kind of go together in a theme. So there might be a colour theme, or it might be like a seasonal theme. And it's a great way to build up your stash and maybe try fabrics that you wouldn't necessarily have thought about before. So you've got a nice mix of colours, you've got a nice mix of scale, and a nice mix of prints and designs. If your local quilt shop doesn't already do bundles, then maybe suggest it to them. If they do, then great, buy them all. And if you're having trouble finding them, then there's some shops that are just running along the bottom of the screen now that they already do bundles, and some of them do like monthly clubs where you can get a different bundle every single month, which is a great way of building up your stash, and each month is a different theme or a different colour. So they're great ways of building up your fat quarter stash. And this pillow just takes 2 fat quarters. So I'm going to pick out 2 fat quarters that I like from my bundle that I've got here. And it's a good idea to have 2 fat quarters that are kind of contrasting. So maybe one that's a big focal print and one that is a more subtle blender, or something that's got two very different values. So this one is quite dark and this one is kind of brighter. So I'm going to pick out this one and this one, I think. So they complement each other really nicely, but they're quite different. So I'm going to get a nice effect with my pillow. I'm going to give those a press, make them nice and flat. I'm not going to take the selvages off or anything like that, just give them a press and show you how to make this pillow. I've sewn my two fat quarters together, end to end, and I've left the selvages on, but I've just tidied up the raw edge. So I've just made it nice and straight. Given it a press the seam, and now I'm going to turn it into a pillow. Ooh. Right, so this will fit a 16-inch pillow form when you're done. Obviously not at the minute. So on your cutting mat, find your 16-inch mark and you can line up the centre seam with the 16-inch mark so you know that it's nice and straight. You want to measure 8 to either side of this centre and fold up like so to that point. Just like that, just finger press it. So this line now is nice and straight and is 8 inches from the centre. You're going to fold back this bit just a couple of inches and again just give it a finger press. And this is your hem. You don't need to sew the hem, you can just fold it back. I mean, you can sew it if you want to, but you don't have to. The selvage is going to make it secure anyway, so it's not going to fray. And once you've sewn the pillow together, it's not going to go anywhere. It's fine. The same on the other side. Just fold that in. So it's 8 inches away from the centre point. Finger press it and make sure that this line is nice and straight. And then fold it back a couple of inches or so. So you've got your hem. Give it a nice finger press. And as you can see, these edges super straight, these edges not straight. But that's okay because we're going to sort that out now. Get some pins and just keep your centre bit in place. And then spin it round. And what you're going to do is trim off the sides so that you end up with a tube that is 16.5 inches this way. You'll need that extra ½ inch because of your ¼ inch seams, which obviously you don't have at these edges. So get your rotary cutter and ruler and just trim off your edges. To make sure that you're cutting right through all of the layers, because obviously this is all kinds of wonky and it's also the same on the other side. So you don't want it to be that you've missed some part of it and it's not going to fit when you sew your seam together. So just lay your ruler over, double check that all of your layers are going to get cut. Super. And cut. And this really is such a quick and easy project, and it is something that's so perfect for a last minute gift or, like I said, for kids to sew you know, there's nothing more satisfying when you've got an attention span of a gnat, like my kids do, to make something and it be done in 10 minutes. You know, because the problem with making a quilt is obviously it takes forever. You want something instant. So I'm going to just pin either side and make sure that you've caught the folded back hems on either side. And then you take it to the sewing machine. Sew 1/4 inch seam allowance either side, and then if you have an overlocker or zigzag stitch, just zigzag just to make it extra secure, because obviously when you've got a pillow in it, it's going to get a lot of rough and tumble. Sew that, take your pins out, turn it the right way out, and you're done. That's it. Okay, so that is it, all done. How quick was that? And obviously, depending on the directionality of your print, you can either have your seam running vertically or horizontally. Either way works great. You can also add a little bit of trim, like some ribbon or maybe some rickrack or some pom-poms, which are always cool. And you can have the seam not in the centre, but just have it to one side. So same principle as before. You find your centre point, you move your seam so that it can be to one side, but visualise a centre point and then measure 8 inches from either side of that centre point instead of the seam line. And that's it, it's done. It's super, super easy. It will take you 10 minutes and it's a great idea for some new couch pillows, throw pillows, you know, dress up your bed or use up all of your fat quarters so you can buy some more fat quarters, which I am going to do now. So I'll see you next time on Quilt Monkey.